What it do? What it do? We back again with another one on y'all head top. Today we gonna be reacting to Sunny V's how an SNL reject became a star. Let's get right into it.
Live is a dream for comedians. Not only can they earn a living writing jokes, but they also get to do it on the largest comedy platform in the entertainment industry. So when Shane Gillis got a job as a writer for SNL in 2019, he was excited to add his signature humor to the show. Then he was fired just a few days later. A 2-minute clip from his podcast destroyed his opportunity to work on network television. But this would be a blessing in disguise, because it actually was the catalyst to him becoming a superstar, and the comedy corporation came crawling back for Shane after he proved he did not need them. Becoming a successful comedian is a brutal grind, but before social media, it was 10 times harder. You had to spend years working on material in local
That's
clubs.
one thing that's true now. There's a lot of like comedians or people that's making it in the comedy, and I don't even think they that talented. Like there's a lot of them. Like the Less Hilarious is one, for example. A lot of these dudes who make their little skits on YouTube and making these little short videos and all that. It's funny, but that's different from stand-up comedy. But everybody think they're a comedian now, and the shit is getting watered down. I think that's getting watered down with everything. Everything in general. There's people that's like famous because they got a lot of TikTok followers, and when you find like what she like, especially women, it's a lot easier for a woman to become famous now. And then you wondering like what she do? Nothing. She just got a nice body and she twerk on TikTok. It's like what the fuck? 4 million followers, 6 million followers, 6 million people following this chick, and she doesn't do anything. She don't do nothing. She just got a nice body and she look good. It's like it's so easy to get famous now with zero talent. It's just crazy.
Clubs that were half empty, praying that one night someone in the crowd had the right connections to get you an opportunity. If you were lucky, after traveling the country doing open mics for years while being flat broke, maybe you'd make a name for yourself to land a 5-minute set on late night TV or a small role in a mid-tier comedy movie and hope they write you a standout moment in the film. The absolute peak of the comedy mountain was securing a job on Saturday Night Live.
And I know a lot of comedians that work their way up like back in the day. And they seen the grind and what you had to do, and for years and years, getting no money, just working on your craft, and you funny, and just not making it. And you see these half-ass comedians now make a little skit on TikTok, or she look good, or she twerking, or whatever. Or these dudes just making these skits, and now they getting 30, 40K, 10,000 a show. It's like these motherfuckers didn't prove anything. Just because you can make a skit where you write down plan, got a bunch of actors in it, that's not the same thing as you doing the stand-up comedy. But that shit is genuinely disgusting. It's disgusting. I know they be like, what the fuck, bro? Social media. It could be a good or a bad thing.
If you were hired as a writer, or even better, an on-screen talent, it became significantly easier to secure movie roles or sell tickets to stand-up performances. There have been countless iconic and extremely successful comedians that had their careers significantly elevated due to them being SNL cast members. Now, it wasn't impossible to make it without SNL. Kevin Hart and Louis C.K. did just fine despite being rejected from the show. But these days, the pendulum has entirely swung the other way. And SNL is no longer the ideal blueprint for creating a successful career in comedy, as podcasting and social media flipped the entire industry on its head. Comedians still have to start at the bottom, doing open mics and small comedy clubs, but
because it be people I see on Instagram, they just record their set and they have some funny jokes in there, and then they should go viral. And within a year, 6 months, they making money, they getting shows, they headlining. It's like this motherfucker been doing comedy for a year. And some dudes back in the day 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years before they reach to the point these niggas are now.
But now they aren't forced to secure a fan base in the small geographical location that they reside in. They can film their sets and post their best jokes to social media. Those videos will allow them to grow a following independently and allow them to get more bookings across the country. Or they start a podcast and essentially prove their comedy prowess through casual, funny banter with their friends or other comedians. Shane Gillis had already been grinding in the Philadelphia comedy scene for a few years, slowly building a name for himself as one one of the funniest up-and-coming comics in the city. He bounced between open mics and small clubs, doing whatever shows he could get.
That's another thing. I've never fought anyone my size. So I'm bragging about being undefeated, but I only fight people I'm definitely going to beat them.
Nah, Shane Gillis, he funny, dog. I watched it. I did a reaction to it, too, so go check it out. Bro, this motherfucker, he's funny, dog. He's funny. I ain't gonna lie. He's funny.
You never fight a wrestler, and you always fight someone you're definitely going to beat. Like women.
Along the way, he met fellow comic Matt McCusker.
Another dude who's funny, but he got a different style of comedy. I like it though. Anthony Jeselnik, that motherfucker. It's like deadpan. He just be, and then when he get to the punchline, it's like, this motherfucker is crazy.
The two clicked immediately. Matt and Shane had the same sense of humor, the same edgy comedy, and a chemistry that felt like they had been friends since they were kids, so starting a podcast was the obvious move. Shane's comedy style isn't really made for safe, polished 5-minute TV sets. He thrives in long conversations where he can let loose, riff off others, and develop inside jokes with his friends. What started out as two comics hanging out and talking turned into Matt and Shane's secret podcast. It didn't feel like a show. It felt like listening in on a conversation with your two funniest friends.
God damn. Whoa! Dude! Is that glow in the dark?
No, don't worry about it, bro.
Oh!
Don't worry about what I'm up to over here, bro. I got hammered, and I was watching 3 6 Mafia videos.
By early 2019, Shane wasn't just a Philly comic with a podcast anymore. He was quickly becoming one of the most talked about names in the industry. Ironically, he was actually making a name for himself the old-fashioned way. Sure, his podcast was getting some decent traction online, but it was actually the other comics seeing him in clubs and then spreading his word throughout the industry that caused him to buzz. That same year, he signed with United Talent Agency, packed his bags, and moved to New York City. Not too long after, Comedy Central named him one of their Up Next comedians, putting him on the same list as some of the fastest rising names in the game.
Just moved to New York this year, and yeah, it's all right. New York's all right. It's nice. I like it more than I thought I would, but I just found out I was fat. I'm 31. I just this year found out that I was a fat guy. I'm from a white trash enough town that this was killing it.
Yeah, that was killing it.
People back home see me, they're like, "What's your fucking secret?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just hanging out, man." It's mostly hang out.
And then the biggest moment of his career happened. Saturday Night Live called, and they wanted him to come in for an audition. But first, a quick word from today's sponsor, ZocDoc. As I've gotten older, I sometimes against you. In-network ZocDoc actually have .com/PatrickCC or click the link in the description to find and instantly to find top raising moment for a young comic's career, and it was for Shane too, for about 24 hours. In September of 2019, Saturday Night Live announced they would be adding 3 new members to their cast, Bowen Yang, Chloe Fineman, and Shane Gillis. But less than 24 hours after the announcement, old clips from Matt and Shane's secret podcast started to resurface. One of them was Shane making jokes about Chinatown using language that did not sit right with a lot of people.
Damn, Chinatown's fucking nuts.
It's crazy, dude.
It is full f***ing China. There's Chinese down there.
I wonder how that started. They just built one up looking building and people were like, alright, no one said anything.
Let the chicks live there, huh? And the translation between you and the waiter is just such a fucking hassle. It's like, can you, I'm pointing at you. Like, this is the waiter.
Once they put number for like 57.
Yeah, this one, even with shit. I was pointing, I was like, that sauce. That. She's like, yes. She's like, yeah, that one. She's like, yeah. She's like, a medium or a spicy? Yeah. She's like, medium. She's like, spicy. Like, no, medium. No medium, spicy.
While the clip
like,
of
that's
Shane
not
using
even
the
that
slur-
crazy though. That's not even that crazy. This is what I'm saying. That's why one thing I don't like about society now. This modern era, bro. I'm only 33 years old, bro, but I feel like an ancient fucking dinosaur. Now, maybe I am ancient as fuck to some people, but I feel like an old fuck. But even that, I don't think that was crazy. Nothing about that was like, oh my god, that was so outlandish and can't believe he said such a thing. How dare he say, like, what the fuck are we talking about, bro? That's why I like the early 2000s and the 90s, and I think the 90s, I swear. I swear to God. I was born 92. But I swear I think the 90s had to be the best era. It had to be. Because it was like right in between the modern era, but you still had the nostalgia of the 70s and the 80s. You know what I'm saying? So I think the 90s was like the best era. These motherfuckers now...
Blur was making its rounds online, SNL was receiving praise for casting Bowen Yang, their first East Asian cast member.
And that's
the
another
timing
thing.
couldn't.
I'm sorry to keep pausing it, but goddamn, everything is some like landmark achievement. Oh, we fucking casted the first fucking binary lizard. It's like, what are we talking about? The first woman to ever do stand-up comedy in Pittsburgh. It's like, oh my God, like what the fuck are we talking about? Everything we gotta act like is some monumental achievement. Who gives a fuck? Are you funny? Yes, no? Who gives a fuck if you some Asian dude and you the first Asian dude? It's just like, oh my God, everybody trying to be the first some shit. Like that video a few weeks ago, like everybody was talking about it with fucking Katy Perry and the rest of them harlots who went to space, and they was acting like they just achieved something that nobody else has ever done before them. It was like, oh my God, and it's the first group of women, all female flight crew. Like, you bitches y'all didn't do anything. The Spanish plastic chick who's fucking with Jeff Bezos, he paid for the shit, funded this whole thing. A couple of fucking whores went to space, and we finna act like, oh my God. Talking about astronauts. You bitches aren't no astronauts. Like, this is what I be talking about. Everybody trying to act like, oh my God, and we're the first. And everybody was talking shit about them. To the point where they was getting upset as if like, well, you supposed to get praise, cheers? Like, we supposed to make a statue of you hoes? Oh, we the first one to do what? You the first one to do what? The first one to do what? Because everybody want to be acting like they the first one to do some shit. Some miscellaneous random, oh, the first group of women to ever twerk on the fucking White House lawn. It's like, oh my, who cares? It's like, these things aren't achievements. It's not an achievement. Stop talking about it. God damn.
Not have been worse. What should have been a big win for the show turned into a PR nightmare.
So I was going to do shows, and I was like, nice, I just got announced on SNL. I'm going to go to the club, get some drinks, it'll be fun. On the way to the club, I was in a train, and I got a text from my agent that was like, did you say the C word?
What, chink?
And I was like, no, I would never. I don't
What,
say
cunt?
that word.
What?
And then she was like, here's a clip of you saying it. It was literally a video of me saying it. And I was like, all right, maybe I said it. Looks like I said it. By the time I got to the stand, like TMZ
Like
was
it's a
there.
joke,
There was an explosive
dog.
amount of criticism online towards Shane and SNL. Actor Daniel Day Kim tweeted, "It took 45 years for SNL to get an East Asian cast member, and in that same year, he'll be joined by someone who would have no problem calling him a slur." Actor Simu Liu added,
Here he
"His
go.
word
He's
has
another fucking soy boy. He's another one. This dude who played fucking Shang-Chi. Like, I didn't know this dude. I didn't even really know who this dude, but I didn't know he was such a pussy. This dude is a pussy, dog. Oh my God. 45 years to get an East Asian, and then we're going to get a West Asian, and then a South, and then a North Asian. You're the first North Asian to be. It's like, bro, what the fuck are we talking about? What are we talking about? Why everything we got to act like it's some monumental achievement? The first fucking non-binary West African transvestite to ever be on SNL. It's like, bro, who cares? Who cares? Nobody cares.
has been used to
Well, East
dehumanize
Asian,
my
like,
people for
whoa,
over
my God,
150
like, it's a
years.
joke.
You don't get to use it in the name of edgy comedy.
Yes, you
By the
do.
next morning, Shane was being labeled a
Like,
racist across
I'm
major...
sorry, I can't keep pausing. I'm getting mad. Like, I hate this shit. Like, I remember the days where you could literally say almost anything you want. Especially if you're a stand-up comedian. It was almost no limit. Once you wasn't, like, talking about, like, somebody dead or some crazy, you could literally almost make any joke back in the day. The 80s, the 90s, where you could say some shit. And it would just be just what it is, It's a joke. Now, I'll be hearing some of the most neutered, castrated jokes. And people acting like it's literally the most egregious thing they've ever heard, and they can't believe it. And I'm so offended. Are you offended? Are you offended? I honestly don't think these people be offended. They just say they're offended to get some attention. Like, I'm offended that. It's like, shut the fuck up. Pull your panties down, dog. Especially when men do it. Like, women, all right, I expect that from women in these modern times. They're offended by everything. Whatever. But when I see dudes acting like, oh my God, and oh my God, and it's like, bro, shut the fuck up.
Unknown in the mainstream, there wasn't much of a public defense speaking on his behalf. Most people didn't even know who he was. They just knew the clip. It's important to understand that SNL is under NBC Universal, a huge media conglomerate that's deeply risk-averse and brand-conscious. When the backlash hit, executives had to decide if it was worth it to risk a boycott, advertiser pressure, or major headlines for a new, relatively unknown comedian. Shane got on the phone with SNL producer Lorne Michaels and a few executives who wanted him to post a scripted apology. By most accounts, Lorne Michaels personally didn't seem overly offended by the podcast clips, but was merely trying to manage the situation. It sounds like Lorne may have even been willing to weather the storm, if it were entirely up to him, but even Lorne has a boss to appease. However, the scripted apology didn't sit right with Shane. It didn't sound like his true feelings, and he wasn't about to—
because it's so fake. If I said something 9 times out, especially if it's something that, even I'm not even speaking in the joke terms. I'll just say something, right? That's how I feel. People get offended, and I gotta come back and apologize and act like that's not how I really feel. My mind didn't change. That's why it's so dumb to apologize, because my feelings and the way I think and the way I feel about this situation in particular did not change. I genuinely still feel that way. That's why I said it. I'm not gonna apologize now to, like, get the fuck out of here. I feel like that. So you people, and that's why these people are so dumb. When it's like, oh, it's okay now because you have to know, but it's not necessarily the apology, because they know your mind didn't change. They want to neuter you. They want to, basically, as a man, they want to cut your fucking balls off, though. They want you to come up here and bow down and kiss the ring and say, see, look, we got him to come here, and especially just for certain things, it's like, get the fuck out. I'm not apologizing. I genuinely feel like that because it's true. They want you to come here and kiss the ring, dog. They want to buck break you. I'm not doing that. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do it, because it's worse off now. Now they're like, yep, I got you. Be like, man, fuck out of here. But some people, boy, they will, man, they'll do anything.
About to tweet something he didn't feel was authentic, like, man, so he kept it simple. His own short
your
statement and
mindset
tweeted
didn't
it.
change.
I'm a comedian who pushes.
So you only apologizing because they told you to apologize. So just don't apologize.
Boundaries I sometimes miss. If you go through my 10 years of comedy, most of it is bad. You're going to find a lot of bad misses. I'm happy to apologize to anyone who's actually offended by anything I've said. My intention is never to hurt anyone, but I am trying to be the best comedian I can be, and sometimes that requires risk. The network was furious that Shane did not follow their orders. They gave him a choice: resign or be fired. And Shane didn't want to resign, so he was fired. But losing SNL was just the start. The backlash got so intense that Shane's talent agency, UTA, also dropped him. Cool. Shane was essentially canceled, and he could have leaned further into it. He could have played the victim and turned his career into a big freedom of speech, legalized comedy campaign. But he did not want to make his entire identity around cancel culture. Instead, he just accepted it. As much as the controversy hurt, it also introduced him to thousands of comedy fans. People who had never heard of Shane Gillis were suddenly Googling his name, watching his sets, and checking out his podcast. Even some of the biggest names in comedy were coming to his defense.
So I don't get it. And then I don't get if you say something like that, you can't work in a sketch show, but like it's okay from what? He can work in a lumber yard? Yeah. You know? He's certainly going to meet more Asians there, right? Then on SNL, it's a joke about how SNL's not hiring Asians. Jesus Christ. Also, I'm in trouble? Yeah. We're not running for office. When is this going to end? Is it? Millennials, you're a bunch of rats.
For a comic who is commonly associated with being edgy and risque, all publicity is good publicity. And now what could be seen as a legendary move, Shane proved to SNL that firing him was a terrible decision, as he was about to launch his own comedy sketch show that fans felt was significantly funnier than the corporate giant. Gillis teamed up with comedian and filmmaker John McKeever to create Gillian Keeves, a sketch-based comedy YouTube channel.
I'm Bob Isis of Isis Toyota, and we have a great collection of pre-owned services.
What the fuck? What the fuck? I never see. I have Bob Isis of Isis Toyota. What is wrong with this dude, bro? I was not expecting that. I go for that one. Called me up hard. I wasn't expecting that.
Certified Toyotas. But there's one thing I want to make very clear, and it's that we have nothing to do with the terrorists over there in the Middle East right now. And that's why we are the good ISIS.
The good ISIS.
Here at ISIS Toyota, we'll behead the competition.
Yes.
No, we're not doing this. What are you guys talking about? We're not wishing death to any of our enemies. We are wishing death to high prices.
When you get fired from SNL and then go on to make way funnier content, this guy pushes boundaries in comedy. The series quickly built a cult following for its edgy jokes and Shane's ability to absolutely nail every character he played.
I saw you come in, I said, that's the one. The belle of the ball. You're the prettiest one.
I'm going to be completely honest with you here. I'm not that interested in
You're the ugliest.
No wonder SNL fired him. He's actually funny.
Chucky.
You make fun of my hair in front of my friends! I'll kill you!
Combine the Gilly and Keeve sketches with the consistent output on Matt and Shane's secret podcast, and Shane was rapidly becoming one of the most popular newcomers in the comedy scene. With momentum at an all-time high, Shane would land an opportunity that is arguably bigger than SNL, a spot on the Joe Rogan podcast. The Joe Rogan Experience has consistently ranked at the top of podcast charts over the past decade, and even though most people associate him with politics, the UFC, DMT, and animal noises, many forget that Joe Rogan is a veteran comedian who has been doing stand-up for 37 years. Rogan has consistently used his platform to introduce comedians to his large audience, which has made him the highest-ranking comedy tastemaker in the world. Rogan's audience is known for backing comics who push boundaries and don't play it safe, which made Shane a natural fit. But that didn't mean the chemistry between Shane and Joe was instant. The episode started off a little awkward, as a few of Shane's early jokes didn't land. When discussing the SNL incident, Shane was detailing the events that led to his termination and tried to make a joke about the conversation he had with Lorne Michaels, the SNL producer who was about to fire him.
Joe is another one. Joe is not funny. That's one thing I could say. I watch his podcast. I love Joe Rogan. That's my guy. That motherfucker's not funny, dog. I've watched some of his stand-up. It's not fun. It's just like, and for 37 years and you not, oh my God, Joe is not funny. It's shocking. You would think somebody who's been doing anything for 37 years would be good at it. He's not funny. Joe is not funny. And he doesn't really get jokes a lot of the times. Like, if you watch when certain people saying certain things, he don't really get it. Because he's not funny.
If we just get you to the first episode, like, people will see you're not a piece of shit person. And I was like, if I get fired here, whatever, I'll just go do Joe Rogan next week and I'll be fine.
Anyway, Joe quiet. But he'll laugh at some dumb shit that's not even funny. The motherfucker's not funny. Joe doesn't, his mind doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. I don't know how to explain it, but his mind just doesn't work like that. I see a lot of videos like that. It's this channel that just break down the awkward moments on Joe Rogan show, especially with comedians. And they'll make a joke and Joe will just sit there looking stupid. It's like, bro, that was funny. You didn't get, like, this motherfucker.
Thought that was funny. No?
What?
I was like, I literally.
Is that what you thought?
Oh my God. He's an idiot. Joe's an idiot. When it comes to funny, Joe doesn't know funny. He doesn't know funny. Even Shane is looking like, he's like, what are you talking about? Oh, yeah, that's you like, Jesus Christ, Joe, you're terrible.
I literally thought that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought it would be funny.
Well, it could have been funny.
Yeah.
I was booked up, though.
That was a conversation I actually had.
Really?
In Lorne Michaels' office in the middle of that.
That's hilarious.
I was in pure panic.
Terror?
Yeah.
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 Not only is this awkward moment absolute gold, it was also the first time anyone had ever blatantly said to Rogan's face that they will use him to advance their career. Shane was joking. The whole joke was that this was a stupid, arrogant thought. But at the same time, you could easily argue that a comedian cracking jokes on Joe Rogan's podcast will get you more career advancement than Saturday Night Live in the 2020s. We know for a fact this is true for Shane. As the conversation went on, things loosened up. up. Shane opened up about the SNL situation, owned it, and didn't try to spin it.
Like, I don't want to be a victim. I want to be a comedian.
Yeah, well...
So I don't want to come on and do stuff where I'm like, yeah, and then it was unfair how I was treated. It's like, no, I get it. Cool. I understand why I was treated that way. I said wild shit. I'm going to keep saying wild.
Stop.
Yeah.
Nowadays, there's no chance I'm going to work at NBC. So those are the rules now. If I want to argue why we made these rules, that's different. But I understand the rules, and I wasn't abiding by those rules.
I missed all the SNL drama, so I didn't know who this guy was, but I like him. He's funny despite Joe being whooshed the whole time. They have to uncancel this guy. It's BS. He totally owns it. I will support him however I can. But before Shane could truly be taken seriously in the comedy world, he needed one more thing: a full-length stand-up special. Shane decided to record his in front of a tiny crowd in Austin, Texas, far from the glamorous, high-produced theater performances you typically see. And instead of pitching his special to a network and receiving a big payday, Shane stayed true to the fans that made him who he is. Shane Gillis Live in Austin dropped on YouTube on September 7th, 2021, completely free. No paywall, just click, watch, and laugh.
I actually volunteered and coached the Special Olympics for a little while, so, you know, what'd you guys do? No, don't clap. I did it for those kids. No, I'm kidding. I look like this, so... Me coaching the Special Olympics, I was like a
he said a couple of them
agent.
was like,
no one
dude, he wanted a retarded kid. It's like, no.
knew whose side I was on, dude. Player, chaperone, no one knew. I'd be standing there coaching, holding a clipboard with 5 dudes that looked exactly like me.
Look at that dude pretending to be a coach.
I could always see the coaches from the other team looking over like, I think they're letting one of them coach.
Currently, Shane's Live in Austin special has 41 million views, an 8.3 out of 10 star rating on IMDb, and was regarded as one of the best independent comedy specials of 2021. It's safe to say comedy fans love Shane Gillis. What I love about his style is that it feels improvised. His cadence and delivery sounds less like a stand-up routine and more like he's just talking shit with his friends at a bar. More laughs in 48 minutes than a whole season of SNL. Gillis's comedic persona is somewhat of an everyman while still being immoral or a bad influence. Like, on one hand, he can come across as a charming dad who may be, unfortunately, an alcoholic, or he can play up more of a creepy, gross incel type character. But the real Shane is just an unapologetic bro looking to have a good time with the boys.
I remember the last time I was hammered at JFK. And I fell in the bathroom.
No. You took a brewski tumble?
I took a brewski tumble at JFK, dude. Oh, look. It gets worse. I took a brewski tumble upon arrival. I went to Buffalo Wild Wings at arrival and got hammered. Me and O'Connor were like arguing. Me and O'Connor got shit-faced.
Wait, you were arriving at the airport?
Buffalo Wild Wings in JFK.
You couldn't wait?
Upon arrival. I think there was some NBA on. We were like, dude, let's just catch the fourth quarter and then we'll go home.
I see.
Had a couple of brewskis, started arguing. I think I was mid-argument with him, and then I went to the bathroom, and he was walking in as I was still laying on the ground. And I was like, this doesn't change anything, dude. You're still wrong.
Gillis started touring the country, selling out much larger venues for his live performances. He became a regularly featured guest on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Armpit hair got me.
Armpit hair doesn't bother me at all.
So wait, you like jack ladies with armpit hair?
Yeah, a little bit of
You
armpit
get
hair.
Like you teeter now, Joe, on the dark side. He like buff chicks with armpit hair. What the fuck, yo?
So close.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I like a good buzz cut.
I like them bald. I like a bald lady. She can wear a wig. You'd be a different hairstyle every night.
Rogan even created another podcast within the JRE universe with Shane, Ari Shaffir, and Mark Norman called Protect Our Parks. Now Shane was being regularly platformed by the biggest comedy tastemaker. From there, Shane recorded a second special called Beautiful Dogs that was purchased by Netflix. With Netflix comedy being more relevant than ever, this was a huge opportunity for Shane. Since his first special was posted on his own YouTube channel, you could argue that he maybe got some favorable reviews from his biased fan base. However, Netflix would expose him to a much more broad, unbiased audience, and he seemingly won them over as well, securing a 7.9 out of 10 star rating.
My favorite thing about Biden is
Anytime Biden finishes a speech, he transforms into a Roomba.
Additionally, Shane's special showed that he's not trying to be some anti-woke hero. Because of his subject matter, his affiliation with Rogan, and his ascent into pop culture via being canceled was a recipe for earning him a predominantly right-wing fan base. These days, comedy is more political than ever, and it seems like a lot of criticism towards comedians comes from those with an opposing political ideology. Then again, a lot of fans gravitate towards comedians that they assume share their political beliefs, and for Shane, they assumed he was right-wing. In his special, he challenged those assumptions by joking about America ignoring gun control, making fun of conservatives' fears about queer people in the military, and roasts George Washington for being a weird slave owner. His style might seem right-wing and might be heavily adopted by the anti-woke crowd, but his belief system has definitely been projected onto him by his opposition and his fans. What's crazy is during all of this success, he still remained consistent with his online following, releasing a weekly podcast episode and a bonus episode for his Patreon. By 2024, Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast became the most subscribed show on Patreon with 153,000 members, earning them nearly $1 million per month. He never needed Saturday Night Live, and now he was wildly successful without them. You could actually argue the opposite. It's more likely that Saturday Night Live needed him. Now, I'm definitely exaggerating a little. SNL has been running for 50 years, and a huge reason it's lasted this long is because it adapts to the modern social climate. Since SNL is writing and releasing brand new content every Saturday night, they literally have to have their finger on the pulse of pop culture. The moment SNL stops feeling current, it risks becoming outdated and irrelevant. When Shane was dropped in 2019, it made sense for the time. Cancel culture was at its peak, and the general public was deep in a hypersensitive era. But after years of chronically online Twitter users demanding the destruction of anyone who crossed a line, audiences started to burn out. Edgier comedians began to thrive, and there became a huge demand for unfiltered, unapologetic humor. SNL is nowhere near leading that shift, but rather slowly adapting enough to avoid being left behind, which is why in 2024, 5 years after he was fired, Shane Gillis was asked to host Saturday Night Live. And yeah, this was a hypocritical move by SNL. They fired someone for being too controversial, then brought him back after he got popular for being exactly that. They seemed...
I would have never did it. I'd have been like, nah, I'm good. I'd have been like, nah, it's alright. Because I don't need y'all. I'm good. But he looking at it like he not tripping, whatever. And by doing that, it's kind of making them look bad. Like, look at them. They needed me. I didn't need them. Clearly, I was the shit. I didn't need them. So you see? Now look, they came crawling back. He didn't come crawling back to them. He's chilling. He's rich. He's rich. Just his Patreon alone, they was making, him and his homeboys making $1 million a month. So it was like, you didn't need them. They came crawling back.
However, it didn't go as great as either of them were hoping. In his opening monologue, Shane started by joking about the 2019 situation.
Most of you probably have no idea who I am. I was fired from this show a while ago, but if, don't look that up, please. If you don't know who I am, please don't Google that. It's fine. Don't even worry about it.
He leaned into self-deprecating humor, saying he probably shouldn't be there and poking fun at his appearance. The first few minutes, it seemed like Shane was doing fine, but once one of his jokes did not land, it halted all the momentum he had.
Talk about my family. I'll tell you this. I don't know if you guys, if you can tell by looking at me, but I do have family members with Down syndrome. It almost got me. I dodged it, but it nicked me. It nicked me. It's funny. It's fun. Look, I don't have any material that can be on TV, all right? I'm trying my best. Also, this place is extremely well lit. I can see everyone not enjoying it. This is, just the most nervous I've ever been. Don't clap now, shut up.
It seemed like after that joke, Shane started to lean into the idea that he was bombing, which forced the audience to focus on it.
My niece has Down syndrome, and I thought that was going to get a bigger laugh. thought we were allowed to have fun here.
If you watch it back, it doesn't sound like he was doing that bad, but some have theorized that SNL actually added in a laugh track or boosted the volume of the laughs to make Shane's performance look better. After the SNL monologue, countless major news publications posted negative reviews of his stand-up. Eric Deggans of NPR said, Gillis's turn on SNL last night felt more like an attempt to court a new demographic and poke a bit at liberal sensibilities. Zach Vasquez of The Guardian said his bomb wasn't surprising since he's, quote, a mediocre sketch comedian at best. Most comedians wouldn't admit to being nervous or saying they expected a bigger laugh from the audience during their performance. They would just tell the jokes. So it's pretty safe to say that even Shane thought he wasn't doing too well. Then again, Shane could have been doing some sort of reverse psychology, claiming he was bombing to enhance the joke. What really confused everyone was that Shane thought he did a great job, which seemed to contradict his behavior in the moment.
It was funny though, because I had my phone off like all week because I was dying.
Yeah,
the
sure.
Stress, and then in the car from SNL to the after party, I was like, let's see what everyone's saying. It was like Shane Gillis bombs. Like, I was like, what the fuck? I got done. I was like, damn, I did great.
Yeah.
That was the worst.
The worst hosting in history of
it was
SNL.
so hard not to say.
What really mattered was that Shane's fans thought it was great, and the fact that the audience wasn't really laughing made it even funnier to them, perhaps reminiscent of Norm Macdonald's attitude, who would often disregard the audience and tell the jokes that he thought was funny. He was more than happy to sit there and make himself laugh. While the monologue didn't exactly crush, he did hold his own in the sketches. In Gump, he played a former high school bully who shows up to his class reunion expecting to impress everyone, only to be upstaged by Forrest Gump.
And of course, my very best girl, Jenny.
No. Hot Jenny? You locked that down? Oh, I gotta get to the bottom of that. Hot Jenny, girl, where are you at?
She's in heaven with Mama.
Sorry for your loss. Do you have any friends that aren't dead?
Lieutenant Dan.
Hey, where's he at? Stand up, man.
Shane has such old school SNL energy, so refreshing for this show to see. Perhaps the most
played like it as a video, because SNL, they copyright everything. That's why I don't react to that shit.
ironic sketch was Shane attending
Shane
an
Gillis one when he was up there, and they one time I was just like, man, fuck these niggas. I ain't reacting to no fucking bum ass SNL. I don't even watch SNL anyways. I don't care.
HR meeting where Bowen Yang was the HR manager, essentially in charge of hiring and firing employees. Bowen was the East Asian cast member that was hired at the same time Shane's controversial use of Asian slurs was brought to light, and ultimately what got him fired. People suspected there might be tension between them, yet Shane said otherwise.
Here, I'll tell you this. Bowen Yang's cool.
Hell yeah.
He is.
Can I say
No, I swear to God.
You would think that after network executives gave him a second chance, received a less than spectacular performance, and arguably even more negative press, that he would surely never return to Saturday Night Live again, right? Wrong, because Shane just kept leveling up, giving SNL no choice but to bring back the comedy superstar. In the past year and a half, Shane has reached explosive heights, bigger stages, bigger crowds, and locked in a deal with Netflix to launch an original comedy show he wrote and executive produced called Tires. Critics hated the show, and after the SNL reactions, that's no surprise. But once again, Shane's fans held it down. They loved the show, and because of that, the series was popular enough for Netflix to purchase a second season. Just before the 2024 election, Shane appeared on a special edition of Kill Tony where he impersonated Donald Trump alongside comedian Adam Ray impersonating Joe Biden. This episode absolutely tore the roof off the place, which generated over 25 million views on YouTube and millions more across other social medias.
You want a knuckle sandwich? Joe, you could do nothing to me. I would hurt you severely, and everyone here knows it. I would beat Joe's ass so badly, frankly.
Man, no, I've been there. I campaigned there. You never went there. Meningitis, Illinois.
Joe, you've never visited the Midwest. Everyone knows it. Illinois loves Donald Trump.
That is.
I wish I had a joke there, but I'm getting into character too much.
SNL can't do shit. This is the best episode in the history of Kill Tony. Since
only
Saturday
watch
Night
Kill Tony
Live
like that. I've
makes
seen a couple
so much
episodes,
material
but
making
that
fun of
shit
the
had me
current
dying. I was
president,
like,
they
these
asked
motherfuckers
Shane
stupid.
to impersonate Donald Trump for the entire 50th season of SNL. But Shane doesn't need them, so he declined the job offer. He did, however, accept the opportunity to host SNL for a second time in February of 2025, but some would argue his return was just as bad, if not worse, than the first time. Shane looked more relaxed during his second monologue, but his eyes were still rapidly panning across the room, hoping to desperately find someone in the crowd laughing at his jokes.
My favorite thing about Biden was anytime he was giving his speech, in between teleprompters, his face would go back to being dead. You remember that? He'd be like, ah! No, serious. Look, I get it. You guys are pretty liberal here. I understand being liberal, dude. It feels good. It's powerful. It's too powerful, dude. It's like the Sith. You can like lose yourself, dude. Somebody says something you don't like at work, you're like, do it. All right, now I'm gonna lose you even more.
Shane was in enemy territory, but he stayed true to the edgy
fuck
humor
these
his
people.
fans love, making
Like, let's
race
keep
jokes,
it real.
Bill
The
Cosby.
people that's gonna be in that audience, whoever they are, 9 times out of 10 they're liberal, weirdo, fucks. Who cares what they think? You have millions of fans. Who give a fuck what this room full of weirdos think? Who cares?
Jokes, and then a sleeper 3-minute rant about the most boring Civil War documentary show in television history.
But my favorite historical documentary is it's called Ken Burns' Civil War. All right? Ken Burns' Civil War, if you haven't seen it, it's 900 hours long. No one on earth has ever finished it. It's kryptonite to women. If you put that on, they will fall asleep immediately. You know, that's a little... You know, they're yapping a little. You go, how about some Ken Burns? That's a little Cosby tip for you, actually. Who needs roofies when we have Ken Burns presents The History of the Buffalo on PBS?
It's almost like you can feel the audience thinking, am I a bad person for laughing at this joke? Probably. So I can't laugh here, rather than laughing at the beautiful idiocracy on display in front of them. Shane laughing to himself knowing he is bombing again in SNL equals pure gold. Watching non-SNL humor be told in front of SNL fans will forever make me laugh. LMAO, this monologue was only for Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast fans. However, once again, critics hated it. Karen Balby of Vanity Fair said, Shane saying, look, I get it, you guys are pretty liberal here, as he did tonight when a joke didn't land, is like blaming the ref when you miss your own shot. Sometimes boundary pushing is just code for bad material. Jesse Fox of Vulture compared Shane's performance to a thought-provoking statement.
Even the people, the critics, they are liberal 100%. You think any one of those people, I'm pretty sure, I'm telling you, if you look up these dudes, just Jesse, David, and that other weirdo, and you see their political, what they identify with or what they support, it's all liberal. So of course you're going to be offended and act like, oh my God, this guy's fucking terrible. He's not fucking horrible. Meanwhile, he's selling out arenas. So who gives a fuck what you think? Clearly you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. The motherfucker's killing it everywhere he goes, selling out arenas left and right. Got more Patreon subscribers than anybody else on fucking YouTube. But this guy thinks he's a fucking, it's liberal. Oh, your joke's just not funny. It's like millions of other people would say otherwise. So it sounds like you're the problem.
Statement made by comedian Anthony Jeselnik, suggesting that Shane was trying to get in trouble and not just simply be funny.
And all these comics now, it's like almost the point is to get in trouble. It's like, why are you giving me shit? I'm a comic, I'm allowed to say whatever I want. That's wrong, as far as I'm concerned. It's like, it's okay to make people mad, but they don't want any pushback. And I think that's wrong. As a comedian, you want to make people laugh.
Shane might have bombed twice on SNL because deep down he still felt the pressure of performing on such a legacy platform. Whether he needs them or not, he still respects what the show represents in comedy history. But at the same time, he clearly wants to prioritize his fans and stay true to what he thinks is funny. So he won't just pander to a mainstream audience just because he is on network TV.
Not doing that.
Plus, the monologues didn't even really matter because the moment the sketches started, Shane settled in and started showing everyone why he deserved to be there again. The standout sketch of the night was Couple of Beers, a fake ad for a medication that treats anxiety and depression. It's shot just like a real pharma ad, but instead of a normal drug, it's Shane solving all of life's problems by day drinking.
What are you guys laughing at? How stupid you are? Jay, you look freaking hot, man. You been doing like Pilates?
Excuse me?
Whoa, sorry. I'm just having a tough time adjusting to my new medication.
Even though SNL might not be the comedy gatekeepers that they used to be, their legacy cannot be understated. Many people suggest the show is actually on a hot streak right now, producing some of the best laughs that they had in years. But even SNL creator Lorne Michaels acknowledged that firing Shane was a bad idea. He got beat up for things that he'd done years earlier, and the overreaction to it was so stunning, and the velocity of it was 200 Asian companies were going to boycott the show. It became a scandal, and I go, no. He's just starting, and he's really funny, and you don't know how we're going to use him. When he came back to the show, we saw, oh right, he's really talented, and he would have been really good for us. But SNL is unfortunately bigger than just the producer. It's owned by a massive corporation. Corporations don't really cancel people, but they distance themselves until the public warms back up. And the public has decided that they love Shane Gillis. And now, all of a sudden, NBC doesn't care about his edgy humor. In the end, Shane and SNL's relationship is a
weirdo company. So, oh my God, we're so offended, and we're not gonna have you shows start fucking Viagra up there. And I was like, oh God, Viagra's mad. Bud, why this weird ass company over here? So are they gonna pull their sponsors because you said a joke that was actually funny 6 years ago? So now they gotta act like, oh, it's the worst thing we've ever heard, and we're not gonna support this company and da 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 da. So they gotta pretend like they give a fuck when they really don't give a fuck. You go away for a while, you come back, all of a sudden now it's okay. It's like because they didn't give a fuck, but they gotta pretend that they do.
Is a win-win story. Having Shane back makes for a good full circle story. He was fired for a podcast clip, then built an empire, arguably from that podcast as well as sketch comedy, and was able to return to the show on his own terms as a superstar. For Shane, it's a flex. For SNL, it's redemption. And for both of them, it's pretty good for their bank accounts.
That's the end of the video. Yeah, Shane is funny. If you haven't seen him, check him out. Check out especially the one he did on YouTube for free. That'll give you a good idea of where he's at and his type of comedy and his style of comedy. So I would check that out. And it's free. It's on YouTube, so anybody can watch it. But that's the end of the video. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and y'all know I will be back to y'all with another one.